In the previous video, which is the first part of this topic, we took a look back at the history of crop circles, looked at the anomalies that distinguish the real ones from the fakes, and dispelled some misconceptions surrounding the subject. But as this is a much broader subject, here is the sequel, which in my humble opinion will be even more interesting than the previous one. Strange phenomena in crop circles. I wonder who or what makes the real crop circles. How are they formed? What do they mean, or what do they tell us? Well, there are many theories to these questions. The now 51-year-old amateur pilot and crop circle enthusiast Matthew Williams has become a notorious crop circle forger himself. He has made many crop circles, but in 2001 he was fined £125 for vandalism after it was officially made a criminal offense in the UK. It was not the reason, though, but his hay fever that he eventually gave up counterfeiting. The man is aware that many crop circles are made by humans, but maintains that the more complex designs are not human-made, but rather by paranormal forces that we do not yet understand. In an interview with the Daily Express in early August 2013, Williams explained that he had often experienced bizarre phenomena in real crop circles. "I've had a lot of strange experiences. I don't know how they happened. They just happened. I've seen small balls of light which have entered the field and chased us out on one occasion. I've seen them passing overhead. On 2 occasions we've also seen black, shadowy figures. Not as clear as a person, a little more rounded but a human shape. There are so many things like that." According to him, powerful, even magical symbols somehow really do affect physical reality, and then strange things do happen. Charles Mallet, an amateur crop circle researcher who examined more than 600 crop circles between 1997 and 2012, also witnessed a strange phenomenon in 1999 in Wiltshire, England. Here, the famous geoglyph, carved into limestone on a hillside hundreds of years ago, can be found. The man decided to spend a night in the middle of a crop circle called dial phone, which was formed in the rape field here. All went well until midnight, when he noticed a strange phenomenon. The noises of the night, which had been loud and audible until then, suddenly ceased, apart from the sounds in the immediate vicinity. He felt a tension in the air when suddenly, just a few meters in front of him, a small ball of light appeared. Within a few seconds, it had grown to a diameter of about 60 centimeters. And then this orange-colored sphere just floated in front of him. After a few seconds, it shrunk back to its original size and then, as the man put it into words, disappeared in one jump. He added that he wasn't dreaming, he was fully awake, and what he saw was real, even if he couldn't explain it. The eyewitnesses. Globes of light have been widely reported in recent decades, as well as strange lights flashing over the fields. Photographer Stephen Alexander has been photographing and filming crop circles for a long time. Also in Wiltshire in 1990, however, he witnessed something when he filmed an existing crop circle, which may also support the link between the light globes and crop circles. Suddenly, he noticed a glint not far from the pattern. At first he thought it was a bird, but the movement and shimmer of the object soon led him to dismiss it. Moreover, when the object came into focus, the image turned green several times. Alexander released the video and, as expected, skeptics immediately accused him of fraud. So he turned to Ashley Windsor, one of England's top forensic experts specializing in imaging and image analysis. After examining the tape, the film strip inside, and of course the footage itself, Windsor said, I quote, "I dare say the tape is original, and this object is in the tape, not added later." However, he added that contrary to previous assumptions, it is not a ball of light that is visible in the footage, but more likely a disc-shaped object that would have been about the size of a tractor track in the field. The VHS video you see now, supposedly from 1989, is currently the only one that actually shows the formation of the crop circles and the globes of light together. The filmmaker, John Wabe, caught two strange balls of light circling over a cornfield. Then, in a matter of seconds, a complex formation of crop circles flattened out in the field below them. The video of the pattern, later known as Oliver's Castle, was thought by many to have been made with special effects. But did the technology exist in 1989 for the average person to produce such a perfect hoax? In any case, the formation did exist, as several photographs were taken at the time. At 1:30 in the morning on the 7th of July 2007, UFO hunter and amateur crop circle researcher Gary King climbed Knaphill in Wiltshire with several of his party, from where they had a good view of a grain field below. Here they met a man named Wynne, who by this time had set up several cameras on the hill, including a night vision device to monitor the fields. His car, which also had cameras, was parked in the field below. At about 3 a.m., Wynne went down to his car to change tapes in the cameras. Then, at 3:13 a.m., King and his colleagues witnessed a surprising phenomenon. As they put it, "We saw a big white flash that completely covered the landscape." At 3:20 a.m., the faint light of the slowly rising sun was enough for the naked eye to make out a barely discernible shape in the field. Looking into the night vision device, a grain pattern was clearly visible that had certainly not been there half an hour earlier. As soon as it became more bright, the party immediately went down to the fresh grain pattern and reported surprising things. One of them said, "The corn was glassy and crunched like glass when we stepped on it. My dog Blue went wild. Being a compulsive carnivore, he started eating the crop like he was starving, and shortly after that he was sick." Well, the fact that Wynne was changing tapes in the cameras just as the flash was happening, and presumably when the pattern was forming, made the report discredited by many, while others simply blamed bad luck. Well, let everyone decide for themselves. Discredit at all costs. Former Royal Air Force engineer David Clayton told on UFO Truth magazine's 2015 annual international conference that Britain's intelligence agency had paid off fraudsters to produce fake crop circles in a stylistically codenamed Men in Black operation. Their aim was to publicly expose the fraudsters and discredit the issue in the eyes of those who had taken it seriously and to confirm the skeptics' doubt. But their ultimate aim was to ensure that the truth would never come out. The truth? What do they know that must be kept so secret? Clayton, who is also an expert on crop circles and animal mutilations, added that in the 1980s he did a lot of research on crop circles that simply could not have been made by fraudsters because the grain fibers were bent by heat, not physical force. In his opinion, real crop circles are definitely extraterrestrial in origin. According to ufologist Gary Heseltine, governments and other agencies are deliberately trying to dismiss not only the issue of crop circles, but any unconventional explanation for any paranormal phenomenon that goes against our current knowledge. The press is not acting fairly. It's time to take off the blinders and consider the most compelling evidence. If they did, it would be clear that extraterrestrials have been here for many years, he said. Information in the patterns. Could there really be a link between extraterrestrials and crop circles? Well, it's worth exploring this possibility because there have been shapes that stand out from other crop circles even when we ignore their complexity. Some of these crop circles contained information and messages. On the 16th of November 1974, Carl Sagan and his team transmitted a message from Earth to space using the Arecibo radio telescope. It was humanity's first attempt to communicate its existence to alien civilizations by radio waves. The message was a binary code, which can be represented graphically and can be broken down into 7 main parts. The numbers from 1 to 10, system numbers of the chemical elements of DNA, formula of sugars and bases in the nucleotides of DNA, the number of nucleotides in DNA, and a representation of the double helix structure of DNA. Graphic representation of human, the height of an average human and the population of the Earth, which at that time was 4.5 billion. A representation of our solar system. A graphic of the radio telescope at Arecibo, and the dimensions of the transmitter antenna. Almost 27 years later, in August 2001, in Chilbolton, England, in a wheat field next to the country's largest observatory and telescope, another crop circle, or more precisely a grain pattern, appeared, depicting a face. Many believe it was the famous face on Mars. The perfection and sophistication of the image alone cast doubt on the possibility of a forgery, leaving many puzzled. But if all this was not enough, a short distance away, in the same grain plate, a pattern appeared alongside the previous one that looked eerily similar to the representation of the radio message from Arecibo, but in many cases contained different details. The numbers are the same. Silicon appears as the main element alongside the chemical elements. Sugars and bases in the nucleotides of DNA have the same formula. The structure of DNA is different. The alien's body structure is different. The figure shows that the message senders have a large head, a body about 100 centimeters tall, and that the population of their planet is 21.3 billion. Their solar systems and planets are different. Instead of the image of the Arecibo radio telescope depicted by mankind, a pattern of a crop circle published the previous year is shown. Well, that would be the perfect answer to the big question: are there others besides us? Skeptics, unsurprisingly, dismiss these crop circles as a hoax, although of course no explanation is given as to how it was possible to create these intricate patterns in the immediate vicinity of an observatory without anyone seeing them. In 2002, another famous grain pattern appeared near Crabwood, England, which was actually in two parts. A portrait of an extraterrestrial, or more precisely a portrait of a small gray with 3 dots next to it, and a circle, just called a CD disc or DVD disc, with a multitude of seemingly irregularly placed dots. Everyone recognized the alien, and the 3 dots were identified with the 3 stars in the belt of the Orion constellation. But no one understood the dotted disc next to them until data scientist Paul Vigay put a photograph of the circle on a computer for image analysis. It was then when he realized that the dots were not irregularly spaced, but were actually data, containing text written in ASCII binary code. The message was quickly deciphered, and spiraling outwards from the center of the disc, the following could be read: "Beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain, but still time. Believe. There is good out there. We oppose deception. Conduit closing." Of course, many people may wonder why the aliens sent this text in English, but let's not forget that it is the most widely spoken language on Earth, and the formation was published in England. The message has got many people thinking and wondering who we should be wary of. Perhaps the extraterrestrial species shown next to the disk? Or did they send the message? Or is it a race from one of the planets in the Orion constellation trying to protect us from the small gray ones? Or is it the other way around? Whatever the case, the possibility of fraud is almost entirely ruled out in the case of these 2 images, which are too large, too precise, and so meticulously detailed that a few treading boards and a single night are not enough to make them. Not to mention the fact that their design requires a mathematical and binary code expertise that I would not expect from a simple forger. The same is true for the following pattern, which was created on the 1st of June 2008. From the center of the perfect circle, 48 meters in diameter, a line spirals towards the edge of the circle, breaking in steps at certain intervals. Next to the large circle in the middle, there is a very small circle, and at the edge of the main circle, there are 3 smaller circles. The pattern was decoded by astrophysicist Michael Reed. This meticulously crafted creation depicts nothing more than the first 10 digits of pi. What forger would put so much work and precision into such a work just to have a good laugh? A man capable of designing such a circle is more sensible than spending his precious time on it, believe me. Of course, these are not all the grain patterns that hide some kind of mathematical code or information. Forgive me for not going into all of them, but I may come back to them later in another video. The link between crop circles? In a large percentage of cases, these fantastic images are always found near some ancient building or landmark. Around Stonehenge, for example, there has been a strikingly high incidence of such formations. But there is also the aforementioned White Horse in Wiltshire. It is now a proven fact that the Earth is surrounded by a network of so-called ley lines. These are effectively underground energy currents that were somehow known to megalithic cultures of 6,000 years ago or more, and were used, for example, for healing and for now lost spiritual purposes that helped humanity. There is evidence that many ancient structures and sacred sites were built literally in a straight line, thousands of kilometers long in many places on Earth. This can now be checked by anyone at home using maps or Google Earth. Well, many believe that crop circles are nothing more than the direct result of the powerful vibrations of this underground energy network. This invisible vibration can be supported by the patterns of some crop circles. The tonoscope is a device that displays the vibrations of sound waves and changes the pattern of the material scattered on the vibrating plate depending on the wavelength of the sound. The patterns of some crop circles bear a striking resemblance to these patterns, so the idea that the crop circles are created by vibrations of unknown energies, or even by some kind of sound wave, cannot be dismissed. Of course, exactly when and for what purpose a crop circle forms on such a ley line, or anywhere else on Earth, remains a mystery, and how such a pattern might carry information is still a mystery. When I first started working on this video, I had no idea how broad and complex the subject matter really was. I tried to gather a lot of information for you on the subject, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe I was able to show you something you didn't know before. In the comments, be sure to write down what you think about what you heard, check out my previous videos, subscribe to my channel, or give me a like if you liked what you saw. Thanks for your attention. See you next video.